So, Tim, as you look at a church, what are some of the indicators that a church might observe that gives them clarity that it may be time for some outside wisdom, some help with church culture?
It's a really interesting area because a lot of times, if not most of the time, there is a lack of health at the top, but they don't see it. The self awareness isn't there from the key leader or from the key leaders of the organization. But some of the things you can look for, high turnover at that
Mhm. Mhm.
leadership level, and those leaders are pretty savvy and pretty smart, and they're not gonna leave and say it's because we're unhealthy at the top, or they're not gonna leave and they're gonna leave and just say God's led me to something else, or
Mhm.
I feel a calling to something else. But if you see, and they're not lying, they're being honoring to the church and honoring to the leadership there. But if you see a repeat of that over and over, then there's probably something at the top that's just not clicking. Sometimes it's a leadership team that wants collaboration and a senior leader who isn't used to it, doesn't know how to thrive or lead in a collaborative environment, and getting that unstuck. Sometimes it's a sense of at a baseline, it's a level of trust. So on the healthy side, it's trust. On the unhealthy side, it's lack of trust. Where where if you have lack of trust, then when you're in your leadership team meetings, you can't speak up and say what you feel about the direction or whatever because you feel like you're going to get shut down, or you just don't feel like you have the trust of others in the room. And when you don't have trust, then you're not able to have healthy conflict. And we don't like the word conflict. It feels like a negative word, but I feel like I know there's a sense of healthy
Mhm.
conflict that we can lean into. And if you don't have healthy conflict, you're not going to make the best decisions because you're not really wrestling those issues to the ground. But you can't do that if you don't trust each other. And so that's at the baseline. That's kind of where it begins.
So, Tim, I certainly want to affirm what you've said about trust. We see that in our work in the generosity sector that if trust and transparency is not present, that you can communicate in all kinds of dynamic ways. But if people don't believe the message or they're suspect that what you are saying or that any feedback that they have will be discounted, then they're not really listening. And that means they're probably not participating in the process at the level that we hope they would be.